What's going on, folks, and welcome back today for more power content, because the power universe never ends, and nor does the content here at Big Gold Belt Media. I'm super excited for this one. I'm excited because, one, Power Book 4 Force has been fantastic with its premiere episode. Hopefully by now you have checked it out. But man, talk about the introduction of so many very interesting and intriguing characters, and that brings me to my special guest today. I think he might have broke the world record. We're going to talk about it in a quick second. But you know him as Simon McDougal on Power, who got acquainted to Tommy pretty early, I shall say. But he's no other than Phil Donlon. Phil, how's it going today?
What's up, guys? I'm hyped. I'm very flattered you want to have me on. So I'm here to answer all questions and let people know. I mean, Simon ain't that bad of a guy. Come on.
That is one of the major questions right there. Now, in terms of breaking the world record, I think you may be the quickest character to be introduced and then for the Power fans to want killed off so fast.
No, I mean, look, it was super crazy. So, I mean, the reaction was, which, is flattering to me as an actor, of course. Online, I mean, Twitter, everything, social media. People want me dead. I mean, we had 50 we had like a LA viewing party a couple of nights ago, and I'm trying to make it, and it was packed. There's like hundreds of people in there. I'm trying to make my way through the bar, and people are like, "I fucking hate you. You're great." I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to get to the to the men's room. But it was cool. It was cool. There's, I mean, what I'm finding is there's people are loving to hate Simon, and they're going to love to hate him as each episode goes on as well.
That means you're doing your job. In order to have a good baby face, you need a good heel. And a good heel is a person that you hate. That means that the actor's doing their job. And kudos to you.
Thank you.
I do got to say, in that such a hate for Simon right now, do you think there's going to be a moment where fans may actually rally behind him?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Without spoilers, the answer to that question is yes, and that was discussed amongst the the creative forces. Yeah, I can say that with full confidence.
All right. So the Power universe, as I said, the shows this never ending. 50 said it himself, Power never ends. And the fan base, we're super loyal, we're super passionate, and that's why you have to get some. And I'm not condoning anybody's ignorance, with any type of craziness. I talked to Michael Rainey. He's said he's gotten death threats and stuff like that. Nothing extreme like that, but we are very vocal and passionate about our characters, this whole Power universe and whatnot. But ultimately, now that the premiere has happened, now that your character has risen amongst the ranks of folks people want killed off, have you just kind of sat back, taking it all in, and realized that, look, you're a part of this now? This is your life.
Well, I'm starting to understand that. And, I've known Joe I can call him Joe because I've known him this long, but I've known him since I've been 18. We came up together as actors. We also write together as my writing partner and all that stuff. And, I saw this go on with him as Power, because I was with him when he booked the show and all that stuff, and I watched them all, Omari, everybody. And he's like, yeah, man, welcome to it. But I have to say, I think it's a badge of honor. I love that the fans are talking about me so much. I really love it. A little sidebar, it was funny because I was the other night after the screening, a bunch of us are hanging out, and Gab, who plays Gloria on the show, she said in her DMs on Instagram, she's got dudes writing her going like, "You want me to take care of Simon for you? I'll take care of Simon." It is the funniest thing, but I love it. I really, really, I love it. I think it's, when they stop talking about you, you got to be worried. So, if you see me in the street, you can say some choice words to Simon. It's all good. I won't be offended.
And you're no slouch, so people walk with caution. Speaking of Tommy himself, Joseph, he did give you high praises when I spoke to him about you in this role. As you said, you two go way, way back. But what does it mean to be on the show with a buddy? You can almost even consider a brother of yours working on one of the most, popular franchises in all of television.
Well, it's highly emotional. It's emotional just talking about it right now, thinking about it. I mean, because it's in a good way. I mean, one of the things was, and this sums up, I think, how I feel about it. We're shooting the scene when we roll up in the Bentley and Vic pushes Joe, and we're in between takes, and Joe and I are just standing there on California Avenue, which is a big avenue that runs through the city. And he goes, he's like, man, Donlon, look at this. We got California Avenue shut down, man. I mean, it was just like a moment where this is really happening. He has his own show. I'm on it with him. And I couldn't be, Joe is the hardest working and smartest guy I know in this business. So, I'm just happy all around. It's very surreal, very weird. The New York premiere was very surreal and weird. It was just, but it's here and it's happening. So, it was special. It was great to work with Joe. I think that's what made that fight scene where he gave me a whooping in the alley special too. Because, that's just not, we've in earlier years, we got in scuffles together, but we were on the same team. But, I won't go into those stories, but against each other, it was cool. And there was a nice, Joe gave me permission to kind of do what I felt was right to do too, which was cool.
That's interesting. That is interesting. We're going to come back to that in 1 second. Not the stories you can't tell, but in terms of putting that scene together. I do now want to kind of ask a question about Simon, the character himself. Could you talk a little bit about the hierarchy here in terms of with Vic, with Paulie, who's still the biggest wild card to me right now, and then with Walter? Where does Simon fit in here with the Flynn family? Could you talk a little bit about the structure?
Absolutely. So Simon is certainly a low-level guy. So he's Vic's best friend from growing up, and he is for sure a wild card, but he loves Vic. And, Vic is still trying to, I think, make his way in the Flynn family and prove himself to his father. Does not have the confidence that Claudia has. So, Simon, I think, though, is really loyal to Walter and the sort of family values, if you want to put it that way, which is, my character description says, Simon doesn't like anything that isn't Irish or anybody that isn't Irish. But we'll just say it. I mean, Simon's just a big old racist. And, that runs through that family. And so Vic doing business with CBI, this is not something that Simon is a fan of at all, and I think Simon's certainly loyal to Vic. I mean, he's ride or die with Vic. I mean, as you saw, he's going to he'll catch a bullet for Vic. But he's very much in line with the old school values of Walter Flynn. And I think Simon's got some mixed emotions about the involvement with CBI, for sure. But Simon is like, I don't know that Simon is smart enough to figure out how to climb the ladder, or that he even wants that. I think he just wants to make the family happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It wasn't a question I was going to ask, but if there seems to be, racial tensions with CBI, but Simon is willing to work with Yardies, that gives you a little bit of indication more about who they are and more or less who he's willing to kind of navigate through. So, okay, well, that for me is like, let's see what happens in this next episode here. So with that being said, when you did read your lines here within the script and you realized that your appearance was going to come in throwing jabs at Tommy being Boston, but then that wasn't good enough. You had to throw some lines at Larry Legend and Tom Goat Brady. I mean, is it okay for you to go up in that area now? It might be a little bit dangerous for you.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, yeah, it's funny because it couldn't have been better timed. I mean, who knew a year ago now when we were shooting that Tom Brady would be as hot a topic as he is?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's some hot stuff. So that was pretty cool. Now, I am originally from the south side of Chicago, Irish. And I can say I do not like the Boston Red Sox. Because they call themselves the Sox. I'm sorry, Boston people. You know who the Sox are? The Chi-Town White Sox, the South Side. That's the Sox. You guys are not the Sox.
Right. Fair enough. You got a claim there.
Right.
But the Brady one is definitely, there's nothing you can say there.
Look, first of all, I'm like even though I live in LA now, I'm a Chicagoan, so I love all the teams. I mean, look at me, man. I'm stuck with the Bears, man. How bad is my life?
Once upon a time, I will say I was a Jay Cutler fan. I really was. Dude was a slinger. I he made bad plays, but hey, he was a lesser version of Brett Favre. You know, the dude went out there and threw the ball, and I was with it. So a little bit more about Simon. There's a little bit of other context clues amongst his character. Now, he did tell Vic. You know, Vic said, "Look, hold this down, deliver the package, and the drop, and that's that. Hey, you know I'm good. I stopped drinking 3 months ago, only to soon follow telling the ladies, hey, when we're going to get this drink thing over." And then immediately or sometime after that, he takes a bump. Is it safe to say that he has a substance abuse issue? And are we going to actually dive into that with this character?
Absolutely. Well, for sure, Simon has a substance abuse problem. I think, Simon is he uses all things, I think, to get up in the morning, to get through the day, and to go to bed at night. I mean, this dude is living at like 1,000 miles an hour. I mean, his thing is it's pinned all the time. So, we'll see. Yeah. So, later episodes, I think you're going to see more of a development on all of that. But man, I wish Simon would just, see the light, go to AA, maybe write some poetry. Bird watching might be a good hobby. So anything to calm his nerves down. I will say this. No one's asked me this yet, so I'm just going to throw this in because I did want to talk about this. When I was crafting the character of Simon, my favorite, and this is for any fan who wants to go back and track this down. One of my favorite reality shows of all time, because I'm a huge cook. I love this Kitchen Nightmare show that Gordon Ramsay does, because he just comes in and yells at everyone like, "You moron, shut this guy!" And I just love it.
Yeah.
And so I got the script, I got the part. I'm trying to figure out my way into Simon and what I'm going to do. And he does this episode with this big sort of gangstery Italian guy who owns this restaurant. I think I want to say it was in Long Island or something. Mm-hmm. And all this owner did the entire episode with Gordon Ramsay was fight everybody who came into the restaurant. And he was just, he was amazing. The guy was a maniac. I don't even know how he owned a restaurant. And I was like, that's Simon. The guy who fights his own customers in a restaurant, that is Simon. So thank you, Gordon Ramsay, for the inspiration.
That's awesome. It was slightly down the path of wondering, how do you get yourself into that character as well? But see, there's the inspiration there. The other thing, and I should note too, him talking about going to AA, going to Power Book to Ghost. We had the grandma on there had to go to AA for her alcohol issues. She basically got written off. So that may not actually be the good strategy for Simon here. I'd rather him be reckless on camera than be off, because he's very intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Who wants to watch Simon go to AA? Probably. Everyone has said what they want to see happen to Simon, so we got to stick with that track.
True.
So, we want the violence and the what's coming to him stuff. So go to AA, nah. I have a feeling Sober Simon is like a really boring dude.
So I did get to ask Shane about Simon, and my question to him was about, is Simon a liability? A very, very affirmative yes. Now, with everything being said now, do you feel that he's a liability, or do you feel like he's misunderstood?
Well, for sure, Simon's a liability. And he is misunderstood as well. I mean, I think, again, this is part of that, for Vic and for Simon, I mean, they grew up as kids. Yeah. So their relationship is like business, but it's also, it's a brotherhood, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really, they might as well be brothers, not blood brothers, but they're the closest thing he has. Mm-hmm. And clearly, his relationship with his sister, I mean, she's wearing the pants.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, as I said, Simon's not a guy that if you sat down with him, he'd go, well, here's the 10-year projection for my life. And, I mean, this is a dude who lives by the seat of his pants. And he's not always thinking about consequences. He's the kind of guy who's like, I'll deal with the consequences when the consequences come.
Yeah.
So I would say that makes him a liability, but he's for sure misunderstood because he really loves Vic, really, really loves him a lot and really loves the Flynn family. Yeah. Like he is somebody who is willing to do whatever it takes. Like I said, catch a bullet. I mean, he's going to do that for that family and for sure for Vic.
See, I asked the question because it seems like a definitive, oh, no, he's a liability. But if you just take a look at and this is what's, the big fandom amongst the power fans is that we always like to compare things here and draw analysis and conclusions.
Right.
So what's to say that Vic and Simon is no different than Ghost and Tommy here?
Correct.
Vic,
well, I was just about to say, I mean, Simon's a liability. I mean, look, Tommy is the biggest liability. Look, he's the biggest gangster of all. So, I mean, and that's what I think is a beautiful thing about in particular Force, with all of these different storylines going on here in Chicago. I mean, in and of itself, the character Chicago is a character in this show. So it's like these are some different streets, meaner streets in a new way, and I think everybody has the opportunity in this show, for the most part, to be a liability. And I think that's one of the nice things with the layers of the storylines, and each episode will just ratchet this tension up, and you're like, who's going to flip on who?
Yeah.
What's going to happen here? And I like what you said about Paulie. Played by the great Guy Van Swearingen. I mean, he's interesting. He's got an interesting arc too. You guys are gonna like that a lot.
Yeah, when Guy talks, you listen. I like how he commands, and it's so intriguing because you're like, where does he fit in all of this? And you see he commands attention, he commands power, and that stunt he pulled on the highway, that was almost like military, a military tactic, so he has some training, and that's pretty ballsy to be in the car with, we could consider Tommy an enemy, and you're like, hey, you drive, like that's, I can't wait to see more about Paulie here. But let's talk about the alley scene, the scene everybody wants to talk about here. Now, again, we got to put the critic hat on just a little bit here, and the choreography and making this happen. Now, I always like to kind of draw this full circle because a lot of people think of when you see a fight and you always think about the personal offense, but there's also a personal defense to also make it really bring the scene to life, whether who wins or who loses. It's a two-man party or dance, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. But how was the choreography training, and did you have any prior experience into coming into this scene? And I think you brought up a really good point that I just want to reiterate now, is that with you two being boys from back in the day, there's a lot of trust there. So like this scene was shot really, really well done, and you all was really landing on each other, whether it was connections or not. It looked very believable. So talk me through it, man. How was the training and bringing that to life?
Well, then, no, thanks for bringing this up and noticing it, because, the scene was a big deal for Joe and I. So how this all went down was, of course, we knew we were going to have this scene, and they, of course, have a stunt team. They got two guys, a guy who looks like Tommy and a guy who looks like Simon. So, in Larissa, the director, who's, she's a real deal, film director, and she gets down in the mud with the actors. And, I saw one of her movies, and she's not afraid to push the envelope and, to show what needs to be shown, so, whatever. The scene is choreographed by like the stunt team and all this, and they sort of usher Joe and I off. And then she said, "We'll call you in for your close-ups. We'll let them do most of the fight, and then we'll just come in for the close-ups." So Joe and I, and like 10 minutes later, they come and get us. And then the next thing I know, Joe and I are like choreographed. So they were like, "Well, what would you guys do?" So then Joe and I are sort of like going, "Well, we could do this and that." And then like 3 hours later, I mean, we're at different angles. We're freezing our asses off because we're in an alley and it's below zero. And the stunt coordinator comes up to me and he goes, "Man, I gotta tell you, I'm impressed. Have you ever done your own stunts?" And it was literally like a cartoon. A light bulb appeared above my head, and I went, "Oh shit, I'm doing my own fucking stunts."
That's so awesome, dude.
And like, so it was like we didn't think about it, but she just, she didn't want to have to be, I'm assuming, I can't get in her head, but didn't want to be handcuffed maybe to like certain shots, because you're trying to shoot around guys who look like us, right? And so then that, we did that whole entire thing. And I've never done my own stunts like that before. I have and I'm not taken away from the great stunt work that was done the entire season, because it's tough. I woke up the next morning, I had bruises all over my body. I ached so bad. I mean, this is not, okay, yeah, you're not really getting, punched in the face, but when Joe throws me into that dumpster, you're still getting thrown. Yeah. If you do that 15 times, I mean, it can hurt the next day. But I will say this: we're doing the scene, and it did it. And Larissa was very involved, because she, like, almost after every take, she'd come out. I mean, she was very excited, happy. Like, okay, let's just make a little adjust, And but after every take, the stunt guy would be like, he would come up to me, he's like, "Are you sure you're all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do this. Let's go. Let's do this." And literally, that is, I think we had so much fun in it. That's why it took, I mean, it was like hours. And that was like the last thing of the day. And even Gab, was like, she was hanging around to watch it. I think she was already wrapped, but she's hung around. She was like, "Oh my God." She's like, "Have you ever done stuff?" I mean, for Joe and I both, everyone was very impressed by us. But my whole thing is that, for the fans to watch it and to be like, okay, that's like, and fan reaction when we were watching at the screening and that fight scene was happening, you could hear people, and they're like, "No, don't do it." Women screaming when my arm got broke. I mean, that's what you want.
That's amazing, dude. That's got to be my favorite story of all the interviews thus far. That is amazing. The arm being broke part, was that always in the script, or did you or somebody else, or did you, should I say, did either you or Joseph say, "Hey, we need the icing of the cake on this fight, and let's put that in there"?
No, that was written in ahead of time, because before I went to Chicago, I had to go to a special effects studio.
Okay.
And what they did was they did a life cast from my neck all the way, both arms, and like the upper half of my body. And it was like 6 people. And they put like, I don't know, some kind of silicone like all over my body. And I had to sit there for hours. And then they sort of just like took a razor down my back and then pulled it off of the shirt. And they made this third arm. Joe has a picture of it. I got to try to get that picture from him. Of me standing around, like I'm holding like a cup of coffee and I've got this arm sticking out of me, and I've got, I'm like talking to people. I've got this third arm picture. And that was the arm that they used to break, and they tied my other arm behind my back for that one particular shot.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's cool. So Simon going to be in the cast for the rest of the season?
Well, you got to watch to find out.
Great answer. I'll go with that. I'd make sure I took a lot of, I made sure I put a lot of attention to detail on the final scene, which we're going to talk about in a second, to see like, it looks like a black cast on that arm there, Yeah. And it's important because as a person that's living that lifestyle, you may need both hands, but one of those you definitely shoot with, if not both, and that could be pivotal in certain, dynamics going forward. So that's why, I wanted to know about that cast of yours there, but we'll see what happens.
Yes.
And for my final question, could you put us in Simon's mindset when he saw Tommy talking to Walter Flynn in that final scene?
Well, I mean, again, he's standing with Walter, and I think Simon has a little bit, look, his ego was bruised in that scene.
Yeah,
tail between his legs. I mean, he got whooped, and he's back, and he's got to face this guy. He's not afraid now though, because there's dudes with guns, and you got Walter, and nothing gonna happen to him now. But it's a little tail between his legs there. I mean, and you'll see in the other episodes like how effed up his face looks and all that other stuff. I mean, it sticks with him for a minute. So his ego is bruised in that scene. His ego is bruised, but he is like, get the fuck out of here, Tommy. I let him win.
I would have loved if that would have been a line in there. It was so fitting, and that's what I was trying to get at with Vic and Simon, because I know, like, for me, when you two kind of came in last, I would have been like, what the hell? How is he here? This doesn't make sense. We literally told him to get lost. We've already said or did our things back earlier. How are you at base right now? How are you here? And you're talking to the boss? This isn't fitting well for me here. So
absolutely.
Guess, as he said, we're gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Phil, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I cannot wait to see what is next. Not only for you in this, but for another project. I'm not sure if there's anything you may be able to discuss or hint at in other things you may coming down the pipeline. And hell, now that you got this stunt choreography putting on your resume, I'm sure the phone is ringing a little extra now, Business is booming.
Look, this is an actor who we could drop off a building. Cool, let's hire him. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
But yeah, is there anything that you may be able to hint at us in other projects you may be coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, right now, no. I mean, I've got some I'm a writer as well. I got a thing. I've got a hot thing. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, I'll be announcing with Rolling Stone. But there's a film that I did that was released right as the pandemic started. So it was supposed to be in theaters, but it wasn't, but it's streaming. Yeah. So if you want to get a little more of Simon, it's called High and Outside, Baseball Noir. It's streaming on all platforms. It's a very, very dark baseball movie. And the character I play is like a little, it's got a little Simon undertones in it. I'm very proud of the movie. So if anyone wants to see a little more Simon while you're waiting for next week, check out High and Outside. It's a very good movie. All
right. Fans, you know what to do. Go look for it and let it go viral as y'all do with everything. Yeah. Let's get a little bit more Phil in our life. But Phil, it's been a pleasure talking to you. You got a lot more things to do. And as I should say, the seat is open. So hopefully we'll be talking again later on this season as we learn more and more about you.
Absolutely. Anytime. And again, even though I said that thing about the Boston Red Sox, which I stand by, I still love all the Power fans, even the ones in Boston. No, I really love all the fans so much. You guys are awesome. And I really appreciate you including me.
And they love you too, man. They definitely do. Hey, like I said, in order to be knowing you're doing something right, the hate got to be pouring in. And there you go. Well, folks, again, this is Phil, who plays Simon McDougal, you all's most loved, hated character thus far in Power Before Force.
Yep.
Be sure to give him a follow on all social medias, and
Yes.
you know the deal. Stay tuned because Power episodes are dropping weekly. Be a part of the conversation. Feel some love, and if you don't like his character, show it in a really respectful way. Either way, keep pouring it on. But thank you so much for tuning in, folks, and I'll see you all very soon for more content.